Welcome to our new episode of Speak Revenue. Remember, revenue is not a goal, it's a result. But a result of what? In this show, we turn our eyes from the output towards the inputs. We speak to sales leaders and entrepreneurs about their journeys. Join us on our quest to uncover and learn the root causes of success. Let's unpack what works for them and what didn't. Today, with our guest, Mark Kesti. Welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining. Thanks for taking the time. Let's get started right away. Let us know. Who are you? What do you do? What makes it so successful?
Thank you, Thomas, for the invitation to participate on the podcast. I love the concept that you folks are promoting because you're right. Sales is a result of activities. It's the outcome. It's the activities that went into that outcome are the real key. So I love what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
My background is in sales leadership, specifically in B2B sales leadership. My background includes being vice president of sales of 2 venture capital-backed startups. The other extreme, I've also been vice president of sales with a $17 billion division, General Electric. Now, obviously, those two animals are entirely different.
Yeah.
But the bulk of my sales leadership career has been with private equity portfolio companies, and in that model, the private equity firm buys an operating business and they place various leaders into the executive team. I would be put into place as the head of sales for that particular company. I would receive equity, and if everybody performed, we played nice together, in 3 to 5 years, that business would be sold. And this was approximately 8 or 9 years ago. And after the third private equity transaction, I asked myself, Thomas, what do you want to do when you grow up, Mark? And just looking at going into a leadership position within a sales organization, the fact is that it's usually not a good situation. Otherwise, they wouldn't need a new sales leader. So we created some tools to better understand and to level set what is that company's sales strategy fundamentally? What are their sales processes? What does their sales organization structure and people look like? And what are the metrics that they're looking at that would suggest the needle is moving in the right direction? And based on those assessments, we can triage into the specific areas that need immediate attention so we can have faster recovery, faster results. That hopefully is helpful to give you a sense of my background and what Anovo, my company, does.
Yeah, sounds great. Fantastic. So have you created your own framework to do the assessments and help your clients?
Yes, we have actually. And the assessment piece, which is more of a consulting exercise. And what we do there is there's a very objective questionnaire that is multiple choice. There are no wrong answers, and it addresses many specific areas within sales strategy, sales processes, sales organization, people and structure, and metrics. And we assess those. And it's interesting because we'll ask the CEO, the leadership team, marketing team, obviously the sales organization, complete these. And whereas the leadership team, executive team believes things are here, when we do our assessment, oftentimes we find that they're here.
Okay.
And that's not to say either one is wrong. That's just a communication thing. They're not on the same page. We also do extensive interviews with those people and gather a lot of data. We love data, pipeline data, customer data, market data. We're really interested in, from a market perspective, is the tide of demand for their particular sector, whether it's a product or service in a segment, increasing, decreasing. And then based on all of that, we provide the objective observations, but more importantly, the very specific and prioritized recommendations of what they need to do to get things back on track or to realize more market share based on what they were doing before. Now, frankly, the most fun of our job, and which does differentiate us some, is that we also roll up our sleeves and actually execute
Okay.
because ground of the talent that we have, we've been there, done that. Meaning many of our clients, these are B2B clients in the small to mid-sized segments. They're interested in getting to that next level. And many of these companies haven't been to that next level. The fact is we've made many, many mistakes over our careers getting to that next level. And the hope is we can help those clients avoid those same mistakes. And we'll oversee and support the sales organization and the marketing organization as we execute on that plan and get them on track. I mean, in the end, it's not our goal to feed them fish. It's our goal to teach them how to fish. And then once we've done that, pipeline is moving along. There's scalable processes in place. We're hitting the metrics that we all agreed would indicate that we're moving in the right direction. We get out of the way and our work is done.
Great. So it's a very comprehensive approach. That looks like you're really able to help because of a lot of experience with the companies in different sizes, different stages. Can you let us know what are your goals for this year and also next year?
Yeah. You know what? I think as far as our company, it's not as relevant to the audience as possibly a client.
Yeah.
So I'll use a client example. Obviously, I'm not going to use
Nice.
their name, but just to frame it, this is a $20 million manufacturing company. They frankly make coatings for manufacturing equipment to reduce friction.
Okay.
So they service many manufacturing industries, aerospace, consumer packaged goods, energy industry, across the board,
Mhm.
large companies typically.
Okay.
And the challenge that this particular company had, because they were executing quite well and growing nicely, in fact, getting more market share than the growth of the market was actually experiencing. So they were capturing market. They're getting more than their share. But the challenge, and it was a very good, insightful CEO, they said, look, what we want to understand is how do we get to that next level? And what are we doing now that's going to stop us from getting to that next level? How could we improve? After the assessment, there were some more tactical things, such as their CRM and how they're using it. They're using Salesforce in this
Okay.
case. They weren't really automating a lot of their marketing processes to get better results at scale. So now they're using Salesloft, for example, in addition to Salesforce. So we're not marketing technology experts, but we understand the tools and can use the tools
All right.
are going to help us to get scale and more eyeballs, get more of the right eyeballs in the marketplace. But really the biggest challenge and frankly, the biggest opportunity was that the sales organization was predominantly reactive. They had a lot of very profitable recurring revenue, and that's a wonderful thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we all would love that. So let's not, one, mess that up. Let's make sure we're doing a good job in getting more
Mhm.
out of that. But the real issue is that the sales organization and in tandem with the marketing organization was not proactively looking for new customers on a regular, consistent basis.
Okay.
And as we all know, getting new customers takes more time, takes more money, cost of acquisition is higher. However, if you don't start today, when do you start? Right.
Exactly.
And if your goal is to grow profitably, you're going to need new customers. So that was a big initiative. We're looking for that company. The goal this year, we started working with them mid-year. We're typically with a client for about a year if they engage us to help execute, approximately a year. Their fiscal year is ending actually in September. They're ahead of their budget. So, they're going to have a good year. But our goal for 2024, in their case, is another 20% lift, another
Okay.
20%.
Mhm.
And the market for that, what they provide, it's a very fragmented market. There are many smaller players that do what they do. They would be a mid-sized player in this space, is growing 5 to 7% a year. So they're capturing, anything above that. They're taking
Right.
taking their competitors' business. So
Mhm.
that's so we're going to focus. We are focusing now. We'll continue to focus on new customers and expanding and getting more opportunities from existing customers.
Is it a challenge in this case to ensure they're able to handle the new clients when it comes to customer success? And however, maybe, yeah, what roles are necessary to upsell them or handle them?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I mean, fundamentally, first of all, is an operations thing because in this organization and other organizations fall into this, they have a high variable output manufacturing environment, meaning
Yeah.
everything they do is different. They're not making the same
Hmm.
widget over and over and over and over. It's each one is unique.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful and you have to work with operations to make sure, hey, if we increase business, is this going to strangle you
Right.
with your resources, right? And now you're really keeping customers happy because lead times increase. So they have the capacity. They have invested heavily in capacity and capabilities and have automated quite a few things and have introduced a more sophisticated, robust ERP system. So we're comfortable with that. They can
Nice.
handle the additional demand. Now, you're right. What's the customer journey about it? And the way it typically worked is this an outside salesperson was predominantly the exclusive contact between the customer and the company. That's not scalable.
Right.
So what we will be introducing is adding some customer service roles. They have customer service, don't get me wrong, they're
Okay.
very good at that, but we're adding some roles that are more customer facing that also focus on cross-selling and upselling opportunities. And we're also including surveys as well
Okay.
to help understand, what the customers are thinking. And we like net promoter score. It's the simplest one and tells you the most information.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that will be automated too, by the way, based on certain criteria. Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're doing to
Great.
to uh, address that.
Maybe talking about this specific company, can you guide us through their sales process from lead generation over closing to upsell?
Yeah, let me switch gears on you, kind of paint a different picture of a different company. Let's talk about a
Yes,
service
sure.
company. That was
Hmm.
manufacturing. And we're pretty agnostic to the industry. In fact, we are very agnostic as long as it's B2B. So let's talk about a professional service consulting company, for
Yep,
example.
sounds great.
This consulting company, it's another client of ours. Again, relatively successful relatively successful. They need to grow. They need to grow because in consulting, if you have, people, content experts, consultants, experts, you're paying them. So if there's not work to be done, if they're on the bench, that's costing the
Yep.
company considerable dollars. So the challenge, the balance is to have enough resources to support the client demand but not too many and not too few, right? So
Yep.
it's not an easy business. So how do you scale that? So one of the things that we're doing and have done actually is looking at the specific buckets of expertise they and have productized a few of those buckets.
Okay.
Meaning, rather than being kind of a nebulous consulting, we can do technology consulting. What does that mean, right? There's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of companies globally that can do technology services. So let's find a differentiated product of services that is bundled with a technology stack. that solves a very specific problem that we've determined is out there in the ideal customer profile set.
Is it a very
That
narrow niche of
yeah,
potential clients as well? Mhm.
let's narrow down the focus for this bespoke, if you will, solution that focuses on a specific industry problem within a specific area of that industry's business. And that solution will be not only consulting that requires the expertise, but also a technology solution that supports it. So for that company, that's the strategy that we're actually starting to deploy. And it's early days, and so as far as the sales process, they really don't have any outside salespeople, right? That's
Okay.
typically so the consultants are what we refer to as doers and sellers. Yes, you're there to be a content expert and provide, your unique value of your experience and intelligence to help that client, but you're also there to see if there's additional business. So we've been doing some training with a partner that we brought on to train these consultants how to be better salespeople. They'll never be salespeople. That's not who
Yeah.
they are. But there are, sales, as we all know, is a skill. It's not something that you are just naturally going to be good at,
Yes.
particularly if you're more of the consultant type. So we're training them on sales skills. What is an engaging conversation sound like? How do you have a conversation that uncovers other issues at that company that we might be able to address to land and expand the value? Now, the other piece is just getting meetings, right? I'll
Right.
share one of the things that we're going to talk about are the kind of three lessons that I could provide. Three things that we found that if people would
Mhm.
do, they have more success. Well, the first thing is the simple fact that sales is about one thing and one thing only. It's about the number and quality of facts, meaning the more often we have the opportunity to be in front of client that likely has an issue, problem, or situation that we can solve, the more often that can occur, the more often we're going to generate interest, proposals, and ultimately sales.
Right.
So for this client, we're doing a few things. They also use Salesforce, or have Salesforce, but they weren't using Pardot very effectively. So we're really doubling down on scaling that Pardot tool. And we're tying that into Zoom Info
Mhm.
as another tool. We're using intent data as well
Okay.
within the Zoom Info tool. But the other thing we're doing is we're going to be adding another layer, and we're going to we haven't started this yet, but we've done this with other clients. We have other partners, and we're going to outsource BDR function, the business development rep function.
Okay.
And once, because the idea is if we can get more meetings with the right kind of people at the right kind of companies and better understand their issues and they better understand how we can solve their problems, guess what? The more opportunities both parties are going to have to improve businesses. So that's another element that we're adding. So we're investing pretty heavily in getting, new customers. And that
Okay.
takes a while. And that's a long slog, particularly in that business. But
Yeah. Yeah.
again, where do you start? You got to start today. And it's about taking action.
Definitely. So looks like it's also about the consultants really focusing on their core expertise. When it comes to the productized bundles, do those consultants sell them on their own, or do they have maybe additional sales reps that are taking care of them?
No, we're positioning these specific bundled, if you will,
Mhm.
services, technology into a package, and we're selling it we're selling it like a product to a very specific niche audience that has this kind of need. And that's globally. So it's not just US, it can be relevant across the globe. There's two of them that we've created, and these are practice leads, if you will, in two different practices, this consulting firm. So we're launching this. The hope is that it's going to get some traction, and it will help get us in the door at the right kind of accounts.
Right.
And the way we're positioning it, to some extent, a Trojan horse. Now, there's real value right out of the gate. We again are really looking for meetings. So even if it's not necessarily the right solution for that client, well, guess what? We're having a conversation with the right kind of client, and there may be other. So it's getting us in the door.
Any specific marketing approach you would like to highlight on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, marketing, sales, they need to be really tightly integrated, more so now than ever, based on what's happened in the marketplace and how the buyer journey across the board has fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
It's much more predominantly digitally oriented. So we a very good marketing presence. So yeah, I mentioned the Hardot, but on the marketing side, it's just basically refreshed using social media also. And we'll talk about this consulting company. LinkedIn is a great modality for their types of clients.
Okay.
Right. So Facebook, it's okay, but it's not ideal. Right? TikTok, which we actually do, that's a younger audience. So we're not focused as much on TikTok. So this consulting client, it's LinkedIn. So we've really beefed up. We've created specific channels for the different practices, webinars, white papers, really full court press on getting the word out there.
Nice. Great insights. Maybe I ask you, what you've tried recently that did not work? Maybe with one of those clients or maybe independent of them?
Yeah. Great question. I need to be honest. We try things and they fail miserably. There's no question about it, but try, you don't know.
Right.
But let me think that through. There are some. I just have to think of a more recent one. It wasn't a good hit. Here's one. We thought this is another client. It product, B2B product geared more towards the sports industry, athletes. And we really thought that TikTok would be the ideal forum, because of the demographics of that audience. We invested some money in some good video content, and we didn't get traction. It did not work. It did not work.
Okay.
We shifted to some other things that look like they're doing a little better. But that's one example for you of something we've tried recently that didn't.
How and when did you realize it's not working? How much time did it take?
Well, like any of the initiatives, we have metrics. We map what we think is a realistic. We have expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because frankly, business is messy, right? But we had minimum expectations, interactions, and then ultimately, leads for this particular client. And they weren't happening. It was not even half of what our minimum expectations were. So we cut that off for a few months.
Okay. And what was the solution? May I ask in what direction you went?
Well, you try things and some work and some don't. And so TikTok was, all right, hey, it's a newer venue. It's a newer approach. It didn't work. So we went back to old school, frankly. We went back to block and tackle marketing and block and tackle sales, because this is a B2B.
All right.
Sales. So there are specific companies that would be interested in this kind a product. So we actually increased the amount of BDR, business development rep
Mhm.
efforts,
Okay.
and pumped up marketing, and that got more traction. Sometimes old school is great school.
Yeah, depends on like the
It'll
target
work.
group and the region, ICP, of course. But you've already mentioned some tools like Salesloft and ZoomInfo. Any recommendations when it comes to tech stack? Maybe you could elaborate on this as well a little bit. What
Yeah.
the things that help throughout the sales process?
Yes, indeed. Indeed. One of them, which we got turned on to over a year ago now, it probably is
Okay.
Lavender.ai.
Yeah, I know that.
We use it. It's
Hmm.
just is a plugin that hovers over email, right? Or actually it hovers over other stuff too, but email in
Right.
particular. And it just scores the likelihood that email is going to get opened up. So it's specifically for sales
Right.
emails, because you and I have seen some prospect emails that are too long. They don't fit on a mobile phone. It's just, oh
Yes.
my God,
Examples.
they are. And, simpler is better, which is
Right.
basically this tool helps you to drive, and it provides very specific recommendations to approve that email. So that's a great tool. And it's very
Hmm.
inexpensive for the sales leaders out there, sales people out. Check that tool out. It's a nice one.
Yeah, I've seen you can even you're even able to analyze the personality of people
Yeah,
and
yeah,
integrate it with HubSpot, for example. That's
indeed. And I'll mention HubSpot too. We are agnostic to CRMs. Now we happen to use
mhm.
HubSpot. They now have an AI function that's pretty good. That's another, their chat AI is a nice tool. It's better than many that we've seen, maybe it's heresy, but I'll say it because I have no vested interest. It's better than what Salesforce
Yeah.
has. Is It's significantly less expensive too.
Okay,
So
nice. I haven't checked out that yet. Okay.
yeah. The other one I mentioned, Zoom Info and
Hmm.
Intent. Another company that we use is Seamless.AI.
Yeah.
And very similar to Zoom Info in its ability to capture contacts, right? You can profile them, the industry, even the company, the personas, size of company, region, so you can really narrow down your search. But one, it also includes oftentimes direct phone numbers. And when we compared it to Zoom Info, which is a very good tool, don't get me wrong, but it's expensive, Zoom Info. This is much less expensive, and for more small to mid-sized B2B companies, it's something they should consider. And they've actually added the search enablement
Right.
component
Hmm.
as well. So it's not, I would tell you, it's not as good as the Zoom Info enablement tool, but it is good. And again, certainly less expensive.
Great. Thanks for your advice.
Yeah. And there's
So,
other tools too. I'll tell you
mhm,
it's now, yeah, no kidding, but ChatGPT
yeah,
just
also
saved
helpful. Yeah.
us so much time. For example, we also have a course for sales leaders, and it's Innovo Sales Leaders,
Nice.
and it's specifically for sales managers, sales VPs, sales directors who are leading a sales team. And in the course, and we also have one-on-ones and content and webinars. It's doing well, and we're excited about it. But we wanted to add some more content in one of the modules around sales management styles.
Right.
And so I said, you know what? You got to identify what is a control freak,
Hmm.
a micromanager, right? We
Yeah.
don't want to be a micromanager. So frankly, I'm like, you know what? I went to ChatGPT and I said, ChatGPT, I'd like a 10 question quiz that addresses the characteristics of a sales manager who is also a micromanager in a B2B strategic
Hmm.
sales
Hmm.
environment.
Yeah, that's really
And,
specific.
and literally within seconds. Now we
Yeah.
changed a few things, but I mean, basically it just saves so much time if you make the right inquiries.
Yeah.
We've used it just to create for presentations, just outlines,
Yeah.
for content outlines. It's just a great way to things started and
Yeah. Get nice
produce.
inspirations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for the advice. I think we're coming to the end of the episode. Thanks, Mark.
Oh, you're welcome, Thomas. It's been fun.
Yes, definitely. We should continue in future, maybe at another episode.
I'd
So
love to.
awesome. All right, everyone. That brings us to the end of this episode of Speak Revenue. I want to thank our guest, Mark Kesti, for joining us today, sharing such valuable insights. A huge shout out to all our listeners. Your support means the world to us. Remember to check out our website at speakrevenue.com for a full transcript and additional resources. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you go for your listening needs. It really helps get the word out. Also follow us on LinkedIn and Insta or on YouTube. We'll be back soon with another great guest. Until then, stay curious and keep listening.